So let's just everybody go quiet, make them think his sound cut out.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order here, May 6th at 6 o'clock. We're gonna do board member roll call, approval of agenda, approval of minutes, municipal grant update. Then we'll do prior town discussion, with update on that. Municipal planning, state statutes, review and discussion. Then town plan section 1, review and discussion, public comment, and then adjourn. So board member roll call.
Jim Winchester.
David Fowle.
John Bashy.
Brian Harris.
Brad Miller. Brad Miller.
Yeah, we got you.
Got you.
No, Brad. All right, then we're going on to approval of agenda. I'll look for a motion for that.
So moved.
Motion second.
Seconded.
All in
Excuse me.
favor?
Aye. Aye. We got to do roll call.
Yeah,
We
we'll
got
do
Zoom
roll
in.
call.
Okay. Jim, aye.
David, aye.
John, aye.
Brian, aye.
Brad, I.
All right, and then approval of minutes. Did everybody get to look at those?
Yeah.
So this is approval of minutes. It was for the February 18, 2025, and then the April 15th one. If you're all set with that, I think we have enough to do.
I was here for the 18th, but I was not here for the April one.
Yeah, I was here for both.
I would say for both.
Yeah, so that's 3, and Fred.
So we can do the one, but the April 15th one, you're going to have to wait.
April 15th, we'll have to wait on.
Yeah.
I approve it. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the February 18th meeting.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, roll
A
call.
roll call.
Yeah, Jim, aye.
David, I.
John, aye.
Brian, aye.
Abstain. I wasn't there for that.
Oh, you weren't? Oh, I thought you were. Oh, never
I
mind.
wasn't, yeah, I was not
Oh, that's right too. You weren't.
a member.
Just one in.
I guess we can't do them then.
I thought that was 4. What else do we needed?
No, it's 4 out of 7, right?
Yeah, so that'd be 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours, 7 we have.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, then we
Yeah,
have it.
so we're good on
we're
that.
good.
Okay, and we don't have enough for the 15th. You guys,
I think you got 4. We got 4 for the,
You were there for the
yeah, Fred
15th?
was on that
Yes.
one.
Oh, yeah, then if you guys were all there.
So it was the 4
Okay.
of us, yeah. You weren't.
All right, yeah.
All right, so do it for that too.
One really minor correction, in point 6, when we're talking about the New England Greenway. The last paragraph, NF stated that he'd done studies based on the road size width, it should be shoulder width.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll get that corrected in there.
With that correction, I move to approve.
I have also a couple of corrections or a correction and a little bit of discussion. Under board present, it shows Brian Harris. And that should be Fred Miller.
He got Brian Harris as present and absent, that's good.
Yeah, right.
Good catch.
Pretty clever.
I did not see that when I looked at it, but then again, I don't really watch that part of it when I skip.
I don't either when I looked at them. I just go to the,
Yeah, I go through the body of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just for the Greenway thing, just to this matter of discussion. I wanted to be clear that we agreed to give them a mention somewhere in the revised town plan. Not to make them actually a part of the future town plan. And it would be more of a name drop as in a paragraph of like current organizations active in the town.
So what
So I
it
don't-
says,
Yeah, I don't want anybody to think that we imply that we're making it part of the town plan.
the motion that passed was to commit to including the WNEG as part of the future town plan.
Within the future town plan. the motion was, we were discussing, giving them a mention, we were mentioning them. In the future town plan. To allow them to go for their grants, to apply for the grants.
I'm not sure I'm parsing the difference,
Well, as part of the future town plan.
Right.
Part of the town plan. The bikeway is not part of the town plan. Just as Hoorah is really not part of our current town plan, no other organization is part of the actual town plan itself. Organizations that are active within the town have some mention, somewhere in a paragraph.
okay, so we need to have a new motion?
No, I don't believe that we could sit on this if we need to and review what the actual motion was. I don't believe it was to
Well, the
include
motion is
that
in the
as part.
minutes.
I do try to do the motions
Right.
exactly, not like the minutes, I don't do word for word all the time, but the motion I
Right.
try to, just so we've had issues with that.
Right.
So if you're not comfortable with the motion that we pass, then I
Well,
think tonight
I
we have to
think-
pass a new motion.
Well, I'm not sure if I recall a motion and a vote to include WNEG as part of the future town plan. I believe we were talking about, the request was to mention them somewhere in the town plan, in the verbiage.
So
If you
What-
guys don't feel comfortable approving the minutes, I can go back and double check.
Yeah, I think we should, and I'll look at the recording in the meantime as well. And we could revisit this next time,
okay,
okay?
all right, so we'll postpone the minutes.
But I do think that,
Yeah,
I mean, there was a motion, but Nate and Parks and Rec needed there to be a motion in order to,
Right.
well, it was a motion, it's a matter of the exact wording of the motion that maybe
Right.
we want to adjust it a little bit. So we can handle that. Okay, so we'll just postpone
Everybody all
that.
set? Any other discussion on that?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. So we'll postpone that one for approval to the next meeting. So we'll move on to a municipal planning grant update.
so Tara heard back from Media Plan Grant, we did not get the grant. We were not awarded funds for this round. Scott from BCRC did reach out to us and he said that he'd like to work with us on the grant application for the summer and fall round. He thinks we're pretty likely to get it since we were not awarded any funds in this round. Tara and I are doing some research right now. I reached out to BCRC and asked them for an estimate just to see if we could, like worst case scenario, where we could take the funds from in our budget. He said he would do that. It's gonna take him a little bit of time. So we'll just bring those to the select board once we know the cost. See if we can get out our budget if we don't get awarded for the second round. You guys could still do work in the meantime because the updates have to be done regardless. But just want to let you know where that stood at this moment.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just continue forward with what we're doing anyway, so.
Yeah.
And when we can get down, get it down the road and we can just add them into the discussion.
Mhm.
All right,
Sounds good.
sounds good. Moving on to prior town plan discussions, update for new commission members.
That was something you had talked about in the last meeting about kind of just updating new members. James is not here. I don't know if you want to hold off on that until.
Yeah,
Go
so
back and watch. I'm not sure.
do you have a full list of who got in? Because it was, the only one I knew was,
Two people missing. I mean, hello, two new people.
But I noticed the website says we currently have an opening. Is that just
yeah,
old information or?
It's an opening for an alternate, isn't it?
We aren't doing the planning alternates, so if it's on there, it is by mistake.
Stacy is missing right now. Stacy and James are both missing. Oh, so
Yeah,
that
we
would make
should have
9.
an open position though.
Oh, I thought Stacy
and
went
that
off.
brings us to the 7th.
Right.
1, 2. Okay, yeah, that'd be right. Okay. Yeah, we'll just continue on with discussion on that then. When we're going forward, because what it was gonna be is just an update for the new members
Yeah.
to, as to where we're at that point.
Yeah, the website does, sorry, the website has a planning commission vacancy and submit a letter no later than 12/17/24.
Okay,
Oh.
so that's been for last year.
That's
Yeah.
because that disappeared and now it suddenly came back.
Yeah, but just out of curiosity, I was like, I just went and looked and
All it's in-
due to a resignation.
That was the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Current members, John, myself, Dave, James Pomerleau, Fred, Stacy, and Jim.
Okay.
So,
Okay, 7.
got that. So it's just a little quick update on that then.
Yeah, nothing big.
Members are good. Okay. And they're not here as far as that. Okay. All right, and we'll move on to municipal planning, planning state statute review and discussion. So that was our state statutes that we're talking about. And where we're falling in those, based off of that, our last review and talk, I think you missed one of the meetings when we had talked about that.
Yeah, I missed the last one.
So, but basically, like we had talked about, actually, I think you were part of one of those. When we're talking about the sewage and water and so all those.
Yeah, I was here for the first one and then the second one I wasn't here for. I
Yeah,
was out of town.
and then where it falls on some of these, because we're not gonna be under a bunch of these rules require a lot of those.
Yeah, a lot of those won't apply to us because we don't have the infrastructure for it.
Yeah. So,
Maybe I'm confused. I thought what we were talking about was the state statute that says what our town plan is supposed to include. Not about the zoning, which is a different statute. Am I wrong?
You were not wrong, you were correct.
Okay.
yes,
So we're not talking about the zoning and this stuff. We're talking about what the town plan is supposed to be comprised of. And there was a thing that Hannah sent out and there were,
Yeah.
obviously it's a great long thing, but there were a couple of chapters that said specifically what we're going to have. And I hadn't realized prior to reading that there was a county plan. And obviously we should fit into the county plan. And when I read our 2019 plan, it seemed to be a standalone. It didn't mention the county plan at all. And because there's so much data in the county plan and there's so much duplicative data in our plan, I was just wondering if we couldn't basically reference the county plan and go from there and just do the specifics for Pownell rather than try and, here's the water thing and here's the population changes and it's all in the county plan. It's already done.
You're right.
I think going through the exercise of it though, it still gives a little bit of a
Local,
local feel to it. Like
Yeah.
otherwise, we can completely defer to the regional commission and not have to even have a planning commission.
Oh, no, I agree with you completely. I think
Right.
we have to have a Pownell specific.
Right.
What are our goals?
Right.
What are we going to try to achieve in the next,
Right.
8 years?
So
Yeah.
forgive me, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. So are you saying only referencing the county plan as far as when it comes to like the geographic, the population information, like the demographic breakdown of the town and still do everything else for ours or?
When you say only, I'm not sure I know what you mean. I mean, I think that there's so much good work already done there that if we started by saying, you know, we are part of the Bennington County, and so please reference the county plan, which we are a part of, and here's what we see for specifically Pownell in relation to all this stuff. And yes, absolutely, there's going to be some Pownell specific stuff that isn't in that plan that we need to reference, but we don't need to start from square one. They've already done 1 through 8, and we can do 9 and 10 as far, you know, the way I look at it.
I glanced through the regional commission plan, and they talk a lot about Manchester and Bennington.
Yeah.
Not very much. I don't think they even mention Powell at all. And other smaller towns don't get a lot of attention within that plan. So, you know, to me, that implies, you know, we still have a lot of room where we can tailor things to our town.
Yeah.
But we need to reference, just keep an eye on the regional plan and keep an eye on the statutes and just, you know, double check ourselves as we're working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that I agree with both. All the discussion, I kind of agree with all of it, but I don't think we're going to have a lot to change. It's not like we have to physically change a bunch of it. We're just going to say we're updated it at this point. And then whatever we find it, I know like Brian had mentioned before about adding some language to it. I think that's all we're really going to wind up doing is adding some language. Not really changing much of the plan to start with. I don't think there's a whole lot from all the stuff that I've read through on it. Most of it, I think, is pretty good still. I don't think there's a whole lot we have to really do other than add some language.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, you know, the topography hasn't changed. The rivers haven't changed, you know.
Some of the flood zone designation has changed since then.
So we have mapping
Population
on all
has
that.
changed.
Yeah, the population's changed a little bit. Some of your demographics for income is gonna have changed with the influx since COVID. So some of the minor stuff's changed on that regard, but
So we have to go through each section and look
Yeah.
at, is this still accurate?
Right.
Which is a lot of work, you know, but we got.
and that's where like we contract like the BCRC to like,
They normally.
they have the paid staff and they'll kind of comb through all that. Cause I mean, whether people like it or not, we're just a volunteer board. Not all of us have 40 hours every week to pour into this over the next like 3 months to do all this.
But like I said, I read through it, like even the first chapter, I don't see a whole lot of changes that would need to be made in that. I don't know if anybody else, I mean, if we could bring that conversation from that right into number 7, which is the town plan discussion for what we're doing, review and discussion. You know, there's a few things. Anybody find anything that they would consider changing in it?
Well, so
Or want to take
It's
a
not-
closer look at it?
not so much content, but like 2.0 says our vision for Pownell.
Mhm.
And then it talks about the history of Pownell. It doesn't really say what's our vision for Pownell. And I feel like that's kind of the central point of the town plan. And to me, that section should be sort of like an executive summary of what everything else that we've put in the plan. History's great, and I'm not saying we should ignore history, and there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, some of them I question, I don't know. Like it said, we've never been dependent on one, you know, major employer, which could be a real problem. But, you know, the track leaving left us in a vastly, you know, weakened position. So, you know, I don't need to.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that might just refer to like, we weren't directly, like, the track didn't employ everybody. A lot of the satellite businesses depended on the track,
Yeah.
but they weren't direct, like, employees of the track. I think at that point, you're just playing around with language.
down to Mac molding,
And
basically.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
you lost the
everything is-
racetrack, the tannery closed, Mac Molding,
Right, right.
you might as well say they closed. I mean,
Yeah, like warehouse.
yeah, it's a warehouse.
I think there's a lot of good stuff in this section, and I don't think we should dump it. But I'd like to see that called history or something, and then have the vision
Yeah.
be the executive summary of our document, so that you can open up the page and say, this is what the planning commission thinks we should do.
Yeah.
There it is. Now you want the detail, it's in the rest of the report, but we could have everything right up front.
Yeah.
That would be great. It'd be much more useful.
Yeah, Pownell's had a colored and varied history when it comes to employment. I mean, everything from
Right.
farm, simple life, right through fairly heavy industrial.
But it's interesting to me, you know, looking at the census numbers and how it's just gone up. And I'm interested in what's happened in the last 10 years. I don't know the answer to that. But there's certainly been some big houses being built way off in the woods and stuff. The tax base is changing. I don't know anything about, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that I just simply don't know. But I think it is changing. And we got to somehow catch up with that. Maybe BCRC does that for us. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I think just my personal opinion, I think it's just a lot of the middle class following the jobs. I mean, when you have to drive 45 minutes or more one way,
Yeah.
no, that's a lot. That's a long time. Suddenly paying rent over in New York or down to Massachusetts or moving there to be closer to your work doesn't sound so bad.
Well, I mean, we could take that section and this is what we do as far as our work here is build on that section that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's try to write something out for that. We can all do that as a little bit of homework for the next meeting. If everybody's on board with doing something like that, we just bring in our ideas and
Well, a
put
lot of
something
it,
together for it.
to me, there's a lot of like, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know where am I going to find this information? I don't even know. You know?
Well,
And that's like where the BCRC comes in because they do a lot of the legwork.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking is maybe,
Yeah.
you know, I think there's good stuff in this history section. I'd like to call it a history section. If BCRC can do the work to update it, I think that's going to be useful information as we think about, well, what do we want to do about that? But I don't even know what the it is yet that I want to do something about.
Well, that's the problem. I don't want to wait too long.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because if we don't start doing it, some of the stuff ourselves, we
Yep.
might not have BCRC. We can get denied again, and then we'll be a whole year with waiting for them. So I would rather at least try to put something together and we can have them come back and look at it all.
Yeah, I think right now it's like we're gonna have to push to try to find the funding
Mhm.
to just hire them straight out, at least to cover us until we can try to apply for the fall round of funding.
I think really your job right now is to, based on the regional plan, what direction you want things to go in Pownell, make suggestions,
Mhm.
like over the next 10 years, where do you see Pownell going, as long as it's in alignment with the regional planning commission.
Mhm.
And then like you said, BCRC does a lot of the legwork.
Yeah, you'd like another fire district, you know, there's two other places you could have fire districts, which would give water.
Mhm.
Right now, we're down limited to just that.
Mhm.
You'd like to see North Powell and Powell Center open up, you know, their fire districts. But that's, you know, their choice. Everybody's got a choice here.
Yeah.
But they want to get involved,
Yeah,
you know, but you should put it in there. You know, I mean, one water district only leaves you down there.
yeah, it can only go so far.
Yeah.
I know the problem as far as like a designated water supply for North Pownell is what we thought we were gonna be used with the old tannery property.
Right.
It's too high a uranium count, like we just, you legally can't.
No,
Vermont EPA won't allow it.
I didn't know that, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, federal EPA limits were within that, but Vermont's are a little bit stricter. But that shut down that whole idea about getting water supply for North Pownell from that, so. Everybody's got private wells.
Not too good either
Oh, it's hard water.
on water.
I mean, we chew through hot water heaters and
Mhm.
I know.
we get
That's
about
all.
5 years on them.
Yeah, that's all. Let's put
Yeah.
softener in.
Anyway, that's,
Anyway, yeah.
So
I mean, as I read this section, what I'm getting out of it, if I was to, step way back, is that, we don't have a lot of businesses here. We don't have, a lot of employment here. A lot of people are working in Bennington and Williamstown. And what we do have is a lot of natural beauty. We should enhance that. That comes up over and over and over again in this thing. I don't know how that helps build our tax base necessarily, but maybe it brings traffic so we have some businesses that can better survive. I don't know. But I mean, what else are we seeing?
That's it. But what do you got?
I mean, honestly, right now, that is about it. I mean, I had the idea of like trying to redo some of the zoning along the main thoroughfare corridors, 346 and Route 7, to try to make it a little bit more business friendly, but there's a lot of obstacles to it. I acknowledge that. I mean, as far as like stretches of land that I thought might make good candidates are in like land trusts, so they can't be developed, like that kind of deal.
Okay.
I mean, there are other properties that we could potentially try to rezone, but that's rezoning something doesn't necessarily mean it just gives the landowner an option,
Right.
which I'm still not opposed to that.
Yeah, I would think we would.
But yeah, I think we have a great opportunity as Parks and Rec side of it is we have a great corridor, the river corridor for world-class fishing, which you've already got outfits out of Williamstown and North Adams that take advantage of it. I mean, guys parked down there on the side of the road right now by the sewage treatment facility.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're only shore fishing, but as that river's high right now, but there's fishing down there. There's some good fishing there.
Good fishing here. Yeah.
Man.
Those guys come from off.
Yeah. And so, you've got the push for the biking path to come through. So that not necessarily brings dollars into town, but it's something you can put on the map, be like, hey, if you want to enjoy the great scenery and go for a nice leisurely mountain bike ride, we have it. I mean, it's kind of, I think we're going
That's a little-
to yeah, it's some charm. And I think we're going to kind of be a recreation destination for outdoors people that like to enjoy hiking, fishing, mountain biking, the scenic stuff. I mean, I would love to see more employment base, but
Doesn't seem to be.
yeah, I don't think that's in the cards, not right away, not unless something really drastic happens.
Well, they're looking for tax breaks and they want to go to Montpelier cherry picks
Yeah,
best for their area. And doesn't seem to include Pownell much.
well, Vermont's not exactly like tremendously business friendly at the moment.
No, it's not business friendly at
No,
all.
not for that, no.
So that kind of begs the question to me, when we were looking at the, new state, all this stuff, it was all about, concentrated development and stuff, which,
Right.
that's fine if somebody wants to do it, but I don't see a lot of energy behind that, whatever. And really, if you're talking about, we have tons of resources just south of us, we have tons of resources just north of us, and this is like the rural, beautiful place that you could build a nice house and.
Yeah, and I would rather see us keep it that way.
See, what we're talking about right now is our vision of
Right,
what
exactly.
the town should be. And
Exactly.
we should we should develop that and let that guide us. through the
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
process.
I personally don't want to see 200 unit apartment buildings getting put up. And I don't want to see cluster houses to where like you spit out your window and you hit your neighbor's house.
Yeah.
I can't stand that
A
kind of
lot
neighborhood.
of people have worked really hard to get an acre of land or a half acre of land. And
Yeah.
even the zoning might say you could split that up if you want and try to get people to do it. People aren't going to split that piece of land up. You'd be crazy to, most people work so hard to get it because they want some elbow room. They don't want a
Right.
house.
Well, who owns the land though? It's like the San Antonio Spurs coach. He's retiring this year and he's going to build a house over there.
Okay.
Okay. And I think that's in the plan. He's retiring from basketball and
He's got a nice.
he's got friends, got nice land there. And, that's another one over there. Terry Burdick's, not Terry Burdick, but Terry Pollock's, that's part of they don't have to come down into the village. They can go to Williamstown. They got friends in Williamstown. I know.
It's almost an easier drive for them to
Yeah.
go out through that way.
They don't, They don't have to come down to,
Yeah, there's no reason to come over into this side of the town for them.
No.
Not really.
unless you want to go to the post office.
So if that's the primary thing we see developing over the next number of years, and other stuff may come
Oh, yeah.
ancillary to that once population grows or whatever, there's some big money in town. What are the things that people who have big money to put a nice house up on a mountaintop somewhere looking over the vista are gonna want? And I might think,
Well, having never been part of that lifestyle, I can't really speak to that.
Well,
I mean, we can speculate, but
well, I mean, obviously, a lot of people don't like all the trash around that we've been.
no, and I think pretty much everybody can agree on that.
And in terms of the natural beauty of town, that is just like degrading it unbelievably. So
Yeah.
to me, that should be a priority. You know,
I agree.
I don't know how we solve
No,
people dumping at the racetrack and I mean, all this stuff,
we
but
can't find the guy, you can't find him.
And unfortunately, that's not town property. I know some people are confused thinking that's town property, but like we can't go put cameras up on somebody's private property.
yeah, I might get permission to though.
Yeah,
If you did get permission to talk to him, I tried to talk to him, but we used to have a good, when I shot fireworks off, I always talked to him and we got along good.
Yeah.
And he gave me some stuff, for
I
whatever.
think the best we can do is build this town in such a way that it encourages people who do not live that way to
Yeah.
come here. And, and actually there won't be no room for those people that want to live like that, so if we build the town, we keep the town the way, designed the way it is. When they start talking about cluster housing, you're asking for it because that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're going to get. So, I think our vision is a lot of it. I think is to keep it the way it is now and improve the areas that need to be improved.
Clean it up, like he says.
Yeah,
I mean,
Maybe like pushing the select board to,
enforcement.
more enforcement.
The enforcement's there. We put it there. God, we put it there.
Yeah.
Over the years, we've written things up that, could have been enforced.
But at the same time, there are a lot of people who probably have been in their house their whole lives. Maybe their parents lived in their house.
Yep.
They can't afford another house. Their house is falling apart because they don't have the money to keep it up.
Right.
What about them? I mean, they're there and they're not even wanting to pay the fee at the landfill, so they're putting stuff out back. We don't
I got
want to kick them
people-
out.
I drove the Barbers Pond Road yesterday and, it was just a nice road.
Yeah.
But there are patches of
Oh, yeah.
junk. And, I don't know how people live like that, but they do.
But there are a lot of them.
A
in
lot
this
of them,
town.
no, big
There are
time.
some people, like to Dave's point, that I do agree that they're not physically able to anymore. They can't afford it, and I totally get that. But then there's other people that they don't care. They got into an argument with a neighbor once 40 years ago. It's been a big middle finger since then.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
But we can't legislate anything about that.
No, we can't.
No, you can't legislate a disagreement. And I mean, it's two sides of a coin. I don't want to infringe on people's civil liberties.
Right.
And I'm very pro free speech, free expression, but also like at some point, like you're degrading your neighbor's property value and you're negatively impacting them and you're impacting the common good.
That's the answer.
Yeah, it's a fine line, and where that fine line is, it's hard for me to say.
When I first moved into Pownell and built a ferro cement house, the rule that I was told was as long as you don't mess up your neighbor, you're fine, do whatever you want. And I think a lot of people have that in their head that I can do whatever I want on my property because it's.
Yeah. And to a large extent, it's still almost kind of that way because of, yes, we have the laws and we have rules in place, but it comes down to enforcement. I mean, we have one zoning administrator. There's only so much one person can do. And there's only, and I gotta be honest, I mean, everybody realizes it. There's only so much that the town can tackle when it comes to like the legal side of it, as far as like somebody you find somebody and they say, okay, take me to court. And now the town's like,
Yeah. How many people?
am I gonna spend $500 to go fight for $100 fine?
Right.
The answer is no. I mean, it just is. On principle, I would like to say, yes, we're gonna do that, but that money's coming from somebody.
Yeah.
And that somebody is us taxpayers.
It is. And yet, until we do that, everybody's gonna just tear up the fine and throw it away.
Exactly.
So, you know, we have.
Or they just ignore it.
Are gonna do it.
But with the newer way we're doing it now to where it goes to the judicial bureau and it gets assessed. What?
What's the judicial bureau?
Basically, when you get a traffic ticket.
I know, it's ridiculous, though, it really.
Yeah, well, essentially all it does is just tax it on to where like we keep a record of it. And when you go to sell your property or it gets transferred at time of death,
Right.
before the new person can take ownership of it, the town has to collect its fees.
Got a lien, yeah.
Yeah, that's essentially all it is. It's a lien on the property.
I mean, you got a lot of problems in the trailer park. You can own a lot of trailers. They're just,
Well, that's why the select board voted that we're no longer going to bid on the trailers
right.
tax auction. Because we got stuck with the bill too many times getting them cleaned up. Where we're told one thing for a deal and then people back out and then we're paying for the disposal and cleanup.
Mhm.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's.
But it's not.
And for the lack of $500 in taxes, the town now pays 15 grand.
It's a rock and.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna get cleaned up any other way that I know of. You know?
Well, yes and no. I think when it comes to like the organized trailer parks, if they want to expand and they want to put new trailers in, then yeah, they're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
They got enough money.
yeah, exactly. Like the one, like an unlanded trailer on an individual's property and like it's just been abandoned there and the landowner doesn't want to lay claim to it. Okay, then I can see, the town kind of might have to step in at that point, but if it's an organized business and they're looking to make income on the property, well, you pay to dispose of it then.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work and
Yeah.
it's, you're dealing with people there are a lot of people who are not doing really well in
No,
this town.
they're not.
And we got to be sensitive to that. At the same time, we're trying to enhance the beauty and, all these things.
Yeah.
These $1 million houses get built. That's a tricky
That's a
balance.
tricky balance. Yes, it is. And,
The hard part is if you have people come in, $1 million homes, they add to that tax roll.
Oh, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I don't think most Pownell residents realize how many there are.
but it destroys the taxes for somebody who can't hardly afford it now. That makes it even harder for them to be able to stay with it. So that,
Why?
well, if you have somebody that's having a hard time paying right now,
Right.
and then they say, well, we got all these new homes and we're just like.
Oh, so your assessment goes up
The
on your
assessment
house?
goes up.
Yeah.
And they just did that. So we're at 9.6%,
Mhm.
which is the highest town round.
Is that right?
So how is that cool
Yeah.
for everybody that had a hard time paying taxes?
Yeah.
They're gonna have a harder time. And
Well,
that's all it did.
to me, this is the crux of what we got to grapple with somehow to put in here, like what
I
are
think-
priorities to move?
Yeah, I agree with that. And we're kind of approaching the crossroads as a small town at like what point do we expand town government and have more enforcement?
Right.
Which means we have to pay, which means higher taxes.
Yeah.
And yet enforcement only works if the person's got the money to do what you're asking them to do.
they'll
And we have a
to-
lot of people that don't.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
He'd like to break Pownell up into 3 towns, really.
Well,
I know, but
sometimes it almost feels like that might be simpler to just unincorporate Pownell back into 3 smaller municipalities.
Yeah.
But then that is its own problem.
That's another tackle. That's our tackle.
Yeah.
he'd like to, break it up.
I was gonna say at that point, I could almost guarantee North Pownell would end up becoming an unincorporated village
Yeah.
with no governments.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's responsible for their own road upkeep,
We got some good people down there. You got some real good.
essentially.
Yeah.
There was a good spirit here, though, cleaning up here. I mean,
There was, and I loved seeing
I
that.
think it killed them. They just took care of the rubbish and it almost like it's back there.
Yeah.
It's still
It's
trash.
still there. There's-
Yeah,
it's-
just picked up the
Right.
loose stuff.
They picked up last
And,
year's sale.
Yeah,
That didn't happen.
Yeah, it's great to see the community involvement because that is what's been sorely lacking in this town.
Right.
Mhm.
From when I was a kid 40 years ago So now it's like, I see it everywhere and everything that me and my family are involved in.
It's,
Yeah, look at the pollinator garden out here and, the new town hall and,
I
there's lots
know,
of good
but,
stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, the potential's here. It's just people need to get involved. There's a lot. So anyway, I guess we could boil all that down and try to condense all that into the town plan. For the vision is we would like to see more community involvement.
Yeah. And how do we?
Better.
how do you do it?
How do you do it? It's not our job to come up with how to do it. It's our job to set the vision. It's up to the DRB and the select board to figure out how.
Well, there's lots of specific suggested action.
Oh, yeah, you can make specifics.
Yeah. It's not like we have to solve it. And
No.
and we're not going to implement it, but.
No, as far as like, as far as like beautification and upkeep and maintaining our natural resources, I would say you could do that through more community outreach, more attempts at trying to get community organization and involvement, maybe trying to come up with some kind of incentive program. I know we're trying to cut costs at the transfer station, but maybe
A mattress is what, $20?
more than that. I think it's like 45 now.
Wow.
Okay,
That's why they're all down there.
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
That was the fear when we had to raise the price, is that we'd start seeing them on the sides of the road. But it's also one of those things where it's like, if every mattress going into the dump up there, like the town's losing $25-30 on every one we take in.
I know.
At
You
least we
can't
didn't
win.
close the transfer station.
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid.
Right.
I know.
But at some point, like, we can't, personal opinion, you can't keep subsidizing it you can't have a department just subsidizing it at a loss of $100,000 a year. That's obviously that's not a direct number.
No, but it's a huge number like that.
Yeah.
It just seems like we could get a hold of the guy that owns the racetrack. I mean, got the damn,
Well, if past history is any indication, good luck. Because he's doing everything he can.
I know,
to dodge us.
but it's so important to us because the solar panels pay money that pay the taxes.
Yeah.
That should have never been there without a permission. We never had permission on that.
No,
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, there's no.
Down in Massachusetts, the young man that owns the ski area down there, he put this in there. He was in the business. So then he sold it to Portugal, an outfit in Portugal, and that's gone. He never had a say in it. And it got, the first one, it gets 30 cents a kilowatt,
Wow.
30 cents on the seed,
Pull that off.
under the program seed, which was the first ones. So it's a gold mine. And it sits there nice and, pays the taxes. We can't foreclose on the goddamn place because of the solar panels. And we got nothing to say about the solar panels. So that's catch-22.
It is.
That's why, like, when people ask me about it, I'm like, honestly, it's in the state's hands as far as like the building. And
But the state don't care about it.
Exactly. There's no enforcement from the state.
I talked to Cooper about it, I said, you go up there, find out something about the racetrack. Find this guy. He's got a mortgage. Where do you send a tax bill? Find the son of a bitch, nothing. And he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy, whatever, he's a bullshitter, but, he's gonna do this.
It's another example of, they own it. They don't stare at it every day, so they don't care. Like you said, the taxes are getting paid.
But it's older than us. It could be a good place down there.
It could be.
Yeah,
That was a huge missed opportunity back in the 90s.
I know.
There were so many ideas on what could have gone in there, and there have been over the years, but
I mean, I know,
Say la vie.
I know there's a lot of people that'll say, no, that's not a great idea to do, but, enforcement from attorneys calling the state might just be the town's next option, saying, hey, have an attorney keep calling the state up right now and say, you need to get moving on this stuff.
Who owns those damn places? We gonna have to put them in the dump when they go bad? I mean, 20 years down the road or 15 years down the road, they're gonna be junk.
oh, the solar panels?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we're all sitting there just like a bunch of dummies.
Yeah, I mean, I know some companies now are doing the non-toxic ones that can be recycled, but a lot of the older ones, no.
Holly Bombers and theirs, you know.
If you're lucky, they get, well, I don't want to say if you're lucky because it impacts the environment worldwide, but from our local standpoint, if you're lucky, they end up on a cargo ship and going overseas into a landfill in somebody else's backyard.
Well, we spent a lot of money putting it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Can't happen, but it can, you know, not in my lifetime, but, you know, it's just something that somebody needs to track him down. He's got a piece of property there that's valuable.
Yeah, he's, you know, the two pieces on this side of the railroad tracks right there.
And could
Those
have,
are two, those would be two great commercial properties right there.
I'm just afraid when Teton's, the one guy wanted to move the trailer park over there. Expand the next phase, put to the ball field. And he did, you know, he wanted nothing to do with it, but he's dead and gone now, you know?
Yeah.
He did give the town the ball field, but they don't use the ball field anymore.
Well, the culvert pipe that's poking through the ground in the middle of it was a safety hazard for the kids, so.
Oh, my God. I didn't know.
Well, there's a culvert pipe that is like literally just.
Goes right down, splits the two trailer parks. There's something to walk across and get out, you know. It's a mess down there, it really is.
And honestly, like, we don't have the participation in baseball to warrant using 3 fields. We've only this year just started using the elementary school field again since COVID. So I'm coaching T-ball this year now, and so like I've got 11 kids signed up. I had 10 on the first practice, 9 on the second practice, and 8 showed up for opening day. From when I was a kid, when youth baseball had 300 kids.
We had more sponsors than Shake a Stick had.
Yeah.
I'm the only full.
Well.
Jim's our longest running.
Oh, yeah. We're off the track, but I mean, you know, that's things we're talking about, but could be.
Yeah, part of the history.
And it is, it is. That's my history. You know, that's what I feel about history.
And, you know, we can wish the track were back or wish that the whole thing.
Yeah,
was
something,
gone.
yeah, but I mean.
But here we are.
But how do we, like, moving forward, like, what can we do? Like, I mean, for the vision for the town, you know.
Part of the reason I don't want to shoot fireworks down there anymore, because it's all grown up. It's growing up faster than you can stick a stick through the cement. It's all cement. I mean, all hot top down there.
Yeah, it's all grown over.
But it's growing up through it. And it's going to be a mess. It's just going to be.
Yeah, eventually somebody's gonna have to scrape that back and pull all that out of there.
I know.
God,
Anyway,
so much weight.
yeah, yeah.
Or either that or somebody's gonna buy it thinking it's pristine farmland and they're gonna go to dig it up 50 years from now and be like, oh, there's asphalt.
It's like bringing the dirt to Pownell, you know? Williamstown loves to send their dirt over here. They got their social centers down the racetrack, all of,
Oh, and the building got demolished?
they got it, that, all the tie rod and stuff, the rod, all rebar, all cleaned up by somebody. It's sitting there, just sitting there. I thought they might put it in the firehouse, but no. Anyway, Williamstown uses this well. And they know it.
You can't right now, they can't get across the bridge.
I know that. 40 trucks going across the bridge.
Did they put up the weight limit sign they promised to do?
Yeah, they put up a sign in the store about closing the bridge.
Yeah, it was gonna be closed today, I think
No,
today or
they're
tomorrow.
gonna- No, they were gonna weight limit the bridge completely,
The
Okay.
select board, because you weren't at that meeting,
but all you gotta do is walk.
I
in.
saw the notice that they were gonna be closing the bridge temporarily, and I assumed that was to do some of the reinforcing work.
Tonight at midnight.
Yeah.
Till 7 tomorrow.
So,
I mean, the bridge is a mess. It's a mess.
yeah.
Yeah. They're probably down there closing.
And we're years away from the wait list for getting the funds to,
Yeah,
so right now it's like, we have to limp it along until we get the funds.
yeah.
Which means we have to limit trucks, which means the big trucks with the gravel can't go across.
Yeah.
the bridge,
Yeah, they
which is
can't.
like,
Yeah.
like,
Which impacts local business owners.
yeah. It's just-
You don't want to, but it's just like, well, that bridge collapses, well,
Forget it.
yeah, because then the town's gonna have to take out a loan or a bond.
you know, the insurance company pays for it.
So
So where we at?
I'm leafing through here and I get to the Pownell Economic Development Goal number 1. And it's on page 13. And I read it and it's all sounds like, let's do this and let's do this and let's do this. And it's like, we're creating an economic development committee and we'll establish capital improvement plans. Well, nice idea, but this is not stuff we can do.
No, we can't.
We tried doing the Economic Development Committee,
Many times.
many times, and I was a part of that. And it's like, people have great ideas, but
But how you,
it comes down to lack of resources.
We had some of the nicest boards going. We had kids who 30 years ago doing this. I mean, 40 years ago.
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I was
I've been here 60 years. Christ's sake, I've been on more boards than shake a stick at, and we don't go anywhere.
Well, but I think part of this, as I'm reading it anyway, is, what's realistic to do? I mean, these are all great lofty goals. But to me, I'd like to put in a plan realistic things that we might try to achieve. What are the steps that we can move forward with? And I think this whole thing about the economic diversity of town is a complicated thing that we got to figure out some way. I don't know.
I don't know how you do it. I thought about it and I've thought about it, and there's just elements in town that don't give a damn. There's people that care a little bit and there's people that care a lot.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to
Well,
come together.
Yeah, we don't want to encourage gentrification, but how do we,
How do you do it?
Well, I mean, the gentrification is happening. I mean,
I guess, this is where getting some update on some of this data would be useful because I don't really know what's happening and it'd be interesting to know that.
yeah, I think everything everybody sees is all anecdotal.
Yeah.
Mhm. Hey, it is what it is. I guess that's it. And I don't see any future for anybody that, at least where I look across the street, I don't see any future there
Across the street.
for my store.
I was gonna say from you.
Yeah, I don't see any future there at all. I don't, been in a trailer park?
But they paved it.
Hmm?
But they paved it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they painted over the hot tops there. Okay, enough of that. Hey,
Well,
they got a lot of money and they own a lot of properties. These guys own a lot of money. I mean, they got money.
I've got one. So.
Yeah.
You're on the north side.
Yeah.
One of the other things too is in figure one, it's referencing from 2010 census. And we've had, there's no update to that, so
Right.
we could use a 2020 update.
Yep.
I was gonna say the last town plan was done before the 2020 census, so
19.
that was the
Yeah.
most recent one they had.
Right.
But
That was
these plans out right after the census, rather than right before.
Yeah.
well, and that's the thing now is we can get the 2020 census done.
Yep.
We can update stuff to that.
Yep.
They'll give us the numbers and stuff too off of it. So.
Mhm. There's stuff coming.
But I guess I'm feeling like this
Compressed.
is an aspirational plan. The 2019 plan is aspirational, and maybe that's what we want. We want to just paint a rosy picture out there about, economic development.
Mhm.
Great.
Mhm.
Personally, I'd like to figure out what we actually could do. And then we could look back 10 years and say, well, we checked that one off and we checked that one off. That's good. We made progress. I don't know. So I don't know what the goal of this plan is. We want the beautiful, Oz on the mountaintop, or do we want, maybe we could get to in 10 years?
It's ours on the mountain. Down there, there's good places. I mean, over there, there's good places. Out Barbers Pond, there's nice places. And, then there's pockets of poverty,
Yeah.
real poverty.
But what do we want in the plan? What are we trying to create out of this plan?
Well, I think one question is what we have to keep in the plan. Because that 2019 plan was written around the desire for renewable energy
Mhm.
sites, sources. So there's a lot of focus on that. So
Yep.
I think that has to stay.
Yeah,
Whether
sure.
that fits our vision or not, that's something that the state
State wants,
controlled. Yeah. So, there are certain parts of this thing that have to be there. They don't, when you're reading the plan, it's like pretty cumbersome and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense sometimes, but it's just stuff that got shoehorned in there by legislation.
Mhm. Well, I think
Frustrating us.
we want a vision, a real vision, and we can try to write what we think a vision could be.
Well, I think
We could spend a few meetings on it and just say,
I would suggest we do that last. If we go through the sections and see what are the steps we can do, what are the steps we can do, and then try to say, what does that mean we're trying to do? I mean, I don't know. You can approach it either way, I suppose, but I usually like to have a vision before I work on a strategy, but
Your vision and my vision is different.
well, but that's the goal of the committee is to.
Oh, I understand that. No, I
Yeah.
totally
I
understand.
don't know, I understand what you're saying stuff, but I don't know how that'll work. In my head, I'm trying to figure out how that would work, but.
Well, I
if we
wasn't,
have a vision, then we can base that vision on.
yeah,
I'd like to be high on that vision with your beauty in the town,
Yeah.
prettiness. I like that. I like that as a come on for Capano.
yeah.
Try to make the town more physically appealing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it is. It is. Farnham is that. It's just these pockets
The
that,
pockets are what people focus on when they drive by.
well,
You might drive by 10 miles of pristine woodland, but you drive by one cesspool of a yard and that's what you remember.
you drive around Farnham's a pretty town. It is.
Oh, it is.
And, I'm sorry.
No, I completely agree. That's why my intention is I'll die in this town. I'm not going anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere either, but I mean, God forbid. But, you're on the right track as far as the prettiness. It's a pretty town and it's good people here. A lot of good people here. My God. A lot of good Williamstown people are here that live down in North Powell. And hey, he volunteered to put that, well, I won't talk about it anyway. He volunteered to clean that up himself. He said, I'll put the goddamn trucks in there and I'll do this. And I said, well, calm down. There's people out there doing it. And I won't say who, but, because I'm on television. I keep forgetting I'm on there.
I think we all do, especially when we get on a rambling 10-minute sidetrack.
We do.
So much, but
It's small town politics. It's perfectly okay if we sit here and we rehash what's happened in the past. It gives a better understanding for everybody on where everybody's coming from.
hey,
What it is.
And even if,
I know the players.
even if we brought in businesses, I mean, we gotta have money somewhere
Right.
coming in.
Right.
Well, and as a former, business operator and consultant for businesses, you got to have the traffic to support a business. And Williamstown and Bennington have the traffic and we don't. So we can't ignore that.
We,
But look at the parking lot.
That study that they did, BCRC did,
Yeah.
Yes,
that was huge traffic for Route 7. It was, if I
The
remember.
hospital.
Don't
The
quote me
hospital.
on the number, but it was 25,000 something cars with that.
Oh, it's a lot of cars go through. It's a
Right.
matter of
Yeah.
getting them to stop. And
But
I think
that's
that
it. We
what
gotta
they
have a way to
suggested
stop.
was great.
Mhm.
But we have to deal with the land that you can't build on and,
Right.
all
Yeah.
that stuff before you.
wetlands.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't
Well, I-
beat up a dead horse, but I mean, that racetrack is just prime location.
I know,
That's-
I know.
Well, at
That's-
least
that's
this
okay.
side of the tracks.
It is. It's just the current owners they won't do anything with it. It's not a question they
When
can't, they just won't.
But when they did want to do something about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was good money there.
Hard.
Hey, I know.
Well, I wonder if there was somebody who actually wanted to do something there and was ready to offer them money and could have the conversation. Maybe that could, grease the wheel a little bit.
No, he wanted to do, he wanted to do everything. And the last guy, there's been 1, 2, 3, 5 owners.
Yeah.
And the last guy kind of fell into it, when the track closed, they closed up the north gate and that's killed it. That's the gateway in
So
there.
he owned it when they were trying to do the biomass thing?
So,
No, he didn't, he didn't do
that
it.
was a previous.
That was a guy from North Adams with the bus company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known all of them from Boston, Suffolk Downs. They came here because of the fairs. The fairs. Great Barrington, Northampton
Mhm.
did $1 million. They could have did $1 million.
Yeah.
Hey, I started the races down there.
Yeah.
Last day we had 985 and the guy calls me up, put him in the gate. I said, what? I'm mutual wanted me to wait, put them in the gate. Talk to me afterwards, we lose 5% when I get to a million. It's something to the percentages that we lost money on. So that's where the guy that did 128, did the hot top, Mon DiMatteo, he came up here and hot topped this whole place because he was ruled off for 5 years by the state of Massachusetts for bidding on roads. So he came up here and made a fortune. And then, sold it to the Rooneys for $8 million. And they killed it.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of that. But that's the history of the place. And they just kept going down, 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 and nobody thought to pay the railroad. And they were very unhappy.
So do we want to start with the vision or do we want to end with the vision?
I would think you want to start with the vision.
I'm on vision.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought up a good topic. Let's write something out for it. Let's just get something that's on paper for it, I think, and then that'll help us for what our ideas are. I think all of us could put together our own ideas and we'll discuss that in the next meeting. For that, that's a good place to get going. I mean, we gotta do something with it. So I just
Yeah.
The question is, what should Pownell be? Should it just be a bedroom community? Should it be a small business community? Could it, what should it be? And, start there and we can.
I think it's kind of, it's all of those things. Like it's, it's.
That's probably where we're going to arrive when we compare notes. But, I think individually we should think about, what we think, what do I think it should be? And what do you think it should be? And mash it together.
Yeah.
Come up with 3 good things.
Yeah.
And then we just piece it together and we'll find
Find the common ground and the language.
All the other sections are, what are we going to do to move it that direction?
direction.
Yeah.
Right.
And that'd be good.
Right.
One thing
I
I would like to stress is that we have to make sure that we're finding ways to keep the Public Utilities Commission from overriding the local input and just putting cell towers here and there.
Well, that's the thing with the
What's that?
That's the thing with the PUC is they can.
They can. What?
I mean, we can raise a stink and you're,
we should have a plan.
Degrees.
We should have a plan to always put our opinion in on it. Never just say, go ahead and do what you want to do. We should always, with everything, we should be aware of it. We should discuss it. Not just the planning commission, but development review and the select board, the whole, as a town should have.
We did a good job down the racetrack when they tried to burn something and make electricity out of it. And the town rose up and we fought it.
Yeah.
And we won.
Yeah.
But, burning electricity wasn't the best way to maybe burn railroad ties all along.
Oh, God.
I know, there would have been at the end.
Yeah.
With the bug, the green bug and the elm trees and whatever, that would, no way. You weren't going to bring wood in from Massachusetts. You weren't going to bring it from New York.
Yeah.
You had to bring it in from Vermont. And,
they would have stripped the mountains out terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we fought that, and we fought a lot of things over the years, and hey, eventually you lose.
And that's how people in Pownell get along.
That's exactly how they get along.
They find the thing
when something happens,
common ground.
Everybody's cage is rattled.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think I like to refer back to our ordinance that we did. That went through every board.
Yeah.
And all of us work together on it. And that's what we need to do with all the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
Let's keep putting the boards together. Let's talk with them.
Yeah. How do we go about doing stuff? We try to tackle the ideas that have the community support.
And it went well. I mean, I think we really did a good job on the ordinance. Now it's enforcement and
Now, which ordinance you talking about?
the junk ordinance.
Yeah.
Or trash ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That was quite a process.
we went through each board, we went through the planning commission, DRB with the planning commission and
Yeah.
the select board with it. And we had good discussions, good input, and we put it together.
There's so many people,
We have to
you know.
do something with it.
Right, now it's there, but we did it and it all got approved and it was all there and the town liked it.
Well, and it has to be there in order to do any enforcement, so.
So we got to create something to get the town together. That's what you're saying.
All together.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, well,
we might have
I think
to,
create a vision based on, you know, what, you know, how the town as a whole would,
I'll be upset.
well, not be upset, no.
Well, that's not gonna happen,
Town
because
as a
every
whole.
idea, there's always a section of the community that's upset.
There's this, gonna upset
But
somebody.
how as a whole, the town would envision Pownell, its place, and what it should be,
Yeah.
what it has, what it is right now, what it should be, and
Like, I'd love to say, like, let's put out a survey to get people's opinion, but people don't fill them out.
Right.
We've done this, we've done this.
4,500 residents, and you're lucky if you get 75 people to respond to a survey.
You'll get a lot more input if you put an idea out and then they'll say, no, we hate this and we hate.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay.
That's okay, yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, some people, that's the level of involvement they want with what goes on.
People aren't gonna put the thought down and know any of the background realities that you're trying to build on top of. That's our job.
Well, and that's where I think going forward with even this, before it even gets to the next step of the select board. I think when we put this together, I think we should do our own, we do anyway, but do our own meeting like at the school in a gymnasium or something and get input from that. We'll do a printout of all the things we're looking at and see what people think based off of that.
Yeah,
it seems like, if I remember right, that's what the previous planning commission did.
yeah, we did.
Yeah, we had a meeting, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, public did start getting involved in.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge turnout, but it
No.
was.
It was positive.
Yeah.
It was positive, but you know, nothing
But
happened.
that was a thing that it became, gradually more and more people became aware of it.
Yeah,
And started throwing their input in on it or paying attention to it and,
Mhm.
you know, discussing it. Sometime openly, publicly, and sometime not, but, people were involved in it.
And keep in mind while we're writing this things, I'm just gonna throw it out there because I know some of the last stuff was really difficult. We're get this done so that we can start to write the bylaws. Make sure we write that bylaw section so it's working friendly for the DRB.
Yeah.
We have so many things that we can come up with.
Yeah.
So we get things come in, we're like, we gotta really work through this. We have to kind of re-looking at
What that looks like would be great.
Because it's some things, I mean, some things are real easy, that it was laid out nice, other things we've had to really over the years here.
Well,
We've had
You get in trouble.
a few that are
Yeah.
like, wow.
Are you guys able to see me? I'm not able to see. you
I
guys.
Do not see you.
No,
No, we don't see it.
we hear you though.
Yeah.
You guys are have joint meetings too, if you wanted to like invite DRB to one meeting when you got to.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we will down the road here have.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come in too.
So the assignment for next week is maybe rather than a vision, it's like bullet points of what
Yeah,
the things that.
just things you would like to see.
included, and we could put them all up on.
Yeah.
We'll
Try
pick
and-
out and see what we
yeah.
want to come up with and write. We can write a quick vision.
Yep.
On paper. What we think a vision could be. I mean, if it takes a couple of meetings to sort it all out, we'll do that.
Mhm.
Now, we've got time, but we don't have time. It's one of those deals. We'll just start working at it, I think, so.
Okay.
Everybody else set with that? Anybody have anything else to Throw in?
No, I'm not gonna lie, I'm about ready to get out of here.
Okay.
I threw my back out the other day, so I've had about enough of sitting down.
Yeah, we're gonna go to that, so.
Yeah.
So we have a set a date, right? For the next meeting?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, let's see what we got.
Do you wanna call one sooner than the first Tuesday next month?
Let's do our 2 week one here.
2 weeks?
Yeah, be on the 20th,
yeah,
the first and third
Yep,
Tuesday.
we'll shoot for the 20th on it. Everybody
Is
feel
that
it
gonna interfere with any other boards or anything?
as well?
Like Concom's not gonna be here, there's no DRB.
They do the second week.
We do, yeah, they do the second
Okay.
week.
Well, I know lately it kind of seems like everybody's all over the map with extra meetings and reschedule, so I just wanna make sure we're not,
Normal schedule is the first and third
yeah.
Tuesday of every month. That's what
Right.
I'm assuming.
Right, first and third Tuesday. That's what our normal should be.
yeah.
Okay, planning commission, the 20th.
So it'll be 20th.
Okay.
All right, everybody got that?
Yep.
And so we'll look, I know we can't see the screen here, but is there any public comment?
No, nobody else does it from.
Okay, then,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
second, and all in favor to board roll call.
No, really?
Okay, Jim Winchester's. Good.
All right, we can adjourn.
John is an aye.
And
Brian,
I.
James, I.
Red eye.
All right.
All right, hey, have a good night, Fred.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks,
hope
John.
you guys enjoy the conversation.
Yeah.